When David faced Goliath, he had every reason to be afraid. After all, Goliath was a giant of a man, a professional fighter, and he had armor that weighed over 5,000 pounds. Not to mention, he'd already intimidated everyone else into submission. But despite the intimidating opposition, David wasn't paralyzed by fear. Instead, he chose faith. And because he did, God gave him the victory. In today's message, we're going to look at 5 ways that we can apply the same kind of faith in our own lives. Number 1, faith over fear. When David first saw Goliath, he didn't know what to do. He asked his father, Jesse, to get him some armor so he could fight the giant. But when the armor was brought, he realized it didn't fit. At that moment, David could have panicked. He knew he had to do something to defeat Goliath, but he didn't know what. If you've ever been in a situation like this before, I want you to know that you're not alone. We all face moments in life where we feel overwhelmed and out of our depth. Maybe you're facing a difficult decision, or maybe you're dealing with an impossible situation. Whatever it is, just know that God wants you to choose faith over fear. Even though David didn't know how he was going to defeat Goliath, he didn't let fear paralyze him either. Instead, he believed that God would help him. This gave him the courage to take on Goliath, even though he was afraid. Sometimes we try to be brave without first acknowledging our fears, and when we do this, our attempts at bravery often fall flat. But David was honest about how he felt. He told King Saul, "I feel very small and weak. I'm only a boy, and you're asking me to fight this huge, experienced warrior. I'm not sure I can do it." But then David made a decision. He wouldn't let his fear control him. So instead of giving into his fear, he chose to believe in God. And that's what gave him the strength to defeat Goliath. In the same way, when we're honest about our fears and then choose to trust God, we'll be able to face whatever it is we're afraid of with courage. Number 2, God can use anyone. Goliath thought he was too big and too strong for anyone to defeat him, but he was wrong. David wasn't a warrior, he was a shepherd. He wasn't even an Israelite, he was a Judean. He didn't have any training or experience fighting. All he had was his faith in God. But God doesn't need highly trained professionals. He just needs people who are willing to obey him. That's why he used David to defeat Goliath. Sometimes we think we are not good enough, or smart enough, or strong enough to do what God wants us to do. But that's never stopped God from using someone before, and it won't stop him from using you. When God called Moses to deliver the Israelites from slavery in Egypt, Moses complained, "Who am I that you would choose me?" Exodus 3:11. And when God called Jeremiah to be a prophet, Jeremiah responded, "I don't know how to speak because I'm only a young man." Jeremiah once, but God doesn't call qualified people. He qualifies people. If you're willing to say yes to God, He will give you everything you need to do what He asks you to do. It doesn't matter if you're a nobody or someone who feels like they have nothing to offer. God can use you in a mighty way. Just ask Him. Use what you have. David didn't have a sword or a shield or even armor. All he had was a sling and some stones. But he didn't complain. He didn't make excuses. He didn't say, "I can't fight Goliath because I don't have any weapons." He simply did the best he could with what he had. Sometimes we find ourselves in situations where we feel like we do not have what we need to succeed. We might not have the right tools or resources, or even the perfect plan, but we do have something. We have God. And if we're willing to use what we have, God will help us do the rest. When the Israelites were about to go into battle against the Midianites, God told them to use trumpets, jars, and jugs to create a loud noise to confuse their enemies. The people followed God's instructions, and they won the battle. Judges 7:18-22. Sometimes we try to do things our own way. We make elaborate plans, and we put all of our energy into making things happen according to our timeline.